Okay, welcome everyone to the Project Prevent Youth-Led Fact-Fed Annual Conference. We are so excited to be here with you today. And as we get started, I'm going to share my camera with you so you guys can see my face. Even though we're not able to be together, I am so thankful that we're able to be here virtually. We have a 4-part series that we recorded for you that I hope that you find interesting and entertaining. My name's Laura Taylor, and I want to also introduce my co-worker, Stephanie Bell. And I'm going to jump out of the way, and Stephanie's going to jump in because we are keeping our 6-foot distance while we are unmasked. But welcome to the conference. Again, my name is Laura. I'm the statewide coordinator for the Project Prevent Youth Coalition, and with me is Stephanie.
Good morning, good afternoon, whenever you might be watching this. I'm Stephanie, like she said, and I am the communications coordinator for Project Prevent. And so we're just going to run through a quick overview of what the day or this series is going to look like as we go into it. So we're going to start with a pre and post test. We'll have just a little short pre and post test at the beginning and then one at the end. We have some great videos to show you and some really awesome speakers with great information. So you might want to have a pen and paper handy for the pre and post test that we do so you can write down your answers. And then after this is all done, we might be sending out an evaluation. So just kind of be looking forward to that too. So we'll just go ahead and get right into it. We'll start with the pre-test. So like I said, if you have your pen and paper, you might want to just like write down your answers to this. That way you'll have it at the end and can maybe see what you learned by the end of this series. So question 1 is, nicotine causes someone who vapes to become addicted to e-cigarettes. Do you think that's true or false? You can go ahead and write your answer down. Number 2 is, e-cigarette vapor is mostly flavored water. Do you think that is true or false? Number 3 is, most e-cigarettes, including Juul, contain nicotine. True or false? Number 4, toxic chemicals in e-cigarettes have been linked to cancer, heart disease, and lung disease. Do you think that's true or false? And then number 5, vaping does not lead someone to start smoking regular cigarettes. Write down whether you think that is true or false. Okay, now I'm going to hand it back over to Laura, and she's going to do a little story of Project Prevent.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. So many of you watching may already be familiar with Project Prevent. If you're not, I'll give you a little bit of an overview. But first, just so you know, we are the statewide Youth Tobacco Prevention Coalition here in Arkansas. We have lots of different partners all over the state. We're made up of chapters of students just like you. So our chapters are primarily in schools, but we also have chapters that are in after-school programs, boys and girls clubs, church youth groups, really anywhere that a group of students is willing to organize. And it functions kind of like a club where you meet and you plan activities around educating people in your community or your school about the harmful effects of tobacco and nicotine. So just to kind of give you a background, we have funding because several years ago, back in the 1990s, states like Arkansas were losing a lot of money because people were smoking and becoming very, very ill. And it's very costly to take care of people when they have heart disease, lung disease, heart attacks and strokes. And when it could be directly traced back to smoking, a lot of different states decided that they would take these tobacco companies to court and sue them to get the money back. So anytime you see this Your Tobacco Settlement Dollars at Work symbol, that means that the money that has come from that lawsuit is being spent on tobacco prevention and education. So that money is funneled through the Arkansas Department of Health, and the Arkansas Department of Health has a tobacco prevention and cessation program where they fund other groups and entities to do this kind of work. So Arkansas Children's actually receives grant money to coordinate the Project Prevent Youth Coalition. At Project Prevent, our motto is youth-led, fact-fed. So we want to give young people all of the information and tools and resources that they need to be able to lead the charge against tobacco and nicotine, ultimately leading to the elimination of smoking, dipping, and vaping so that young people can grow up healthy and strong. So I know that's a lot of information there on one busy slide, but I have a short video from the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids that really sums it up in a great way as well. Let's take a look at that.
I believe that nicotine is not addictive.
I believe that nicotine is not addictive.
And I too believe that nicotine is not addictive.
I present to you the new face of Marlboro, Jeff the diseased lung in a cowboy hat.
You can't imagine how delighted we are to be here to formally announce a hard-fought settlement proposal with the tobacco companies.
We're going to leave this here for you so you can see what 1,200 people actually look like.
We're about to enact truly historic legislation to protect the public health and to end the tobacco epidemic.
And today, despite decades of lobbying and advertising by the tobacco industry, we've passed a law to help protect the next generation of Americans from growing up with a deadly habit that so many of our generation have lived with.
This morning from CVS, the national drugstore chain is phasing out the sale of cigarettes.
This Knock Tobacco Out of the Park campaign is gaining momentum from coast to coast. We all care about the health of our players, but make no mistake, this is about the health of every one of our children.
Here's a big story out of California right now. Starting next month, you'll have to be 21 years old to buy cigarettes in that state. California's the second state in the U.S. to raise the legal age to buy tobacco.
E-cigarette industry. The FDA today announcing new rules about who can buy them and how they're sold. All of this to snuff out what the government sees as an alarming increase among the youngest users.
If we do nothing, tobacco will kill 1 billion people by the end of this century. We just have to say, enough is enough.
Wow. Okay. So we've made a lot of progress in the last several years, but there's still a lot of work to do. And that's why we continue to do what we do at Project Prevent. And that's also why I'm excited to introduce our theme for this year for our conference is REACH. And for each letter of the word REACH, we are tackling a different topic, starting with the letter R for relationships. And we'll talk about today how you can reach your family and friends. The letter E will help you reach the truth about e-cigarettes and vaping. The letter A will answer the question, what's your reach and what action steps can you take to make a difference? And then you'll be able to figure out how you could reach your potential as a chapter and how impactful it is when a group of people work together, especially a group of young people like yourselves. And then finally, we'll talk about help and how you can help others reach their goals, whether that is reaching their goals as far as just leading a healthy life so that they can grow up to be a healthy individual, a healthy adult, or if you can help people reach their goal of quitting if they're already addicted to a tobacco or nicotine product. So I know it feels like we're moving a little bit quickly today, but we do have a lot to cover and we want to try to get this in so that this could possibly be viewed in a class period. And we hope that you guys enjoy it. And Stephanie is going to introduce our first letter of the REACH theme.
Okay, so let's get started with the letter R. And in this segment, we're going to talk about relationships. So how can you reach your family and friends? Okay, and so for the letter R, our first guest is one of our good friends, and she's so fun. And so Laura got the opportunity to talk with and to interview Miss Janine Latrice Perez. And we hope that you guys enjoy this segment from her and hear what she has to say about relationships in her life and how that's affected how she sees tobacco and nicotine usage.
Okay, welcome, Miss Janine Perez.
And hold on.
So much.
Hold on. No, you can't. You gotta let me say what I need to say. As soon as you say my name, Laura, I've got to say I love it when you say my whole name.
That is forever how you're known to me. I love it too. Janine Latrice Perez. First of all, thank you so much for being here. I honestly can't think of a better way to start the conference than with someone who has your energy and your enthusiasm. And you work in prevention, so it really is perfect.
That's right. That's right. You look, you got this down. I like this.
Well, it's very true. So I want to start, let's jump in. I want to start talking about living my best life because I am obsessed with this song and Stephanie and I sing it in the office. So it's a song, it's a music video, it's a campaign with billboards that I see every day on my commute. I see your smiling face, how you living, and I just smile back at you. And it's basically a mantra, right?
Yes, it's a movement, honey. It's a movement. It's me. It's who I am. You know.
I love it. Well, tell us what it means to you to truly live your best life.
Okay, so here goes. And I gave this wonderful explanation and try to tell it. So I'm gonna tell the same story just like I did. Okay. Here goes. I only live in this moment. Okay, this is the only moment that I have. Waking up every moment every morning I have to make the commitment to myself to live my best life. I can't change what has already happened. I don't know what would happen after this moment. But in this moment, I'm going to do the best that I can to be all that I can be, do all that I want to do, smile at as many people as I can possibly smile, make somebody else's day, and do just those things that I've promised myself to be me 100% of the time, unapologetically, living my best life, honey.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. And I've told you this before, but your smile is contagious. So it's working. It's working.
Got my lip gloss. My lip gloss is popping.
Yes.
My lip gloss
yes.
is popping.
Let's get that together today. Yes, ma'am. Well,
Got
okay,
time.
so you are a singer, which we'll hear from. We'll hear some of that here in a minute. Your mother. You, like I said, you work in prevention, but I know these are motivators. But tell me, kind of, what are your biggest motivators for you to live your life free from tobacco and nicotine?
Well, let me tell you, even in getting started in prevention, not really knowing what was what, and somebody else asked that question, like, why is it that you are so passionate about what you do? And then I have to go back to when I was 12 years old. Now, listen, Laura, since you know a little bit about me, you also know I'm a crybaby, okay? So if I do cry, and everybody out there, don't worry about it, okay? It's just who I am, and I'm okay, and I'm gonna get myself together, okay? But when I was 12 years old, I ended up taking care of my grandmother, and my grandmother was suffering from pancreatic cancer. And she was in the hospital. She didn't want to die in the hospital. She battled it for 2 years. She didn't want to die in the hospital. And so instead of going to the girls' club that summer, I volunteered to be her care provider. Why? Because she was a smoker. And what was happening is she would light her cigarette, but she was too weak to hold her cigarette. And her cigarette would always fall on her bed and burn holes in it. And she also needed oxygen. And so, told you I knew it was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen, but she also needed oxygen, and so that was a dangerous combination: lit cigarette, oxygen. So it was my job as a 12-year-old to make sure that I turned the oxygen off, removed that from her mouth and her nose, lit her cigarette and put her cigarette to her mouth so she could get that simple pleasure. Even though she was dying of pancreatic cancer. And then, Laura, at 12 years old, nobody told me that her cigarette smoking was directly the cause of her pancreatic cancer. See, at 12, way back when, I won't tell you I'll tell you my age. I'm 50 years old, okay? Way back then, no one told me that about a pancreas. I don't even know where that is. Do you? Okay. So, but I knew about throat cancer. I knew about tongue cancer. I knew about lung cancer, but I didn't know about wherever that pancreas thing is. And so I thought I was doing a good thing for my grandmother. Yeah. And it turns out I was just enabling her. And as a 12-year-old, that's a lot of weight. And Laura, I didn't find that out until I got into the world of prevention and tobacco. And it has hurt my heart, but it lets me know that young people do have the capacity to know things, okay? And they can make decisions. And even though I may not have been able to change things back then, at least I would have been aware and had a better understanding of addiction. So
wow,
that's a lot. That's a lot.
Wow. Yes, that is. It is. And I think, goodness gracious, how many of us, you mentioned your age, and anytime I start feeling bad about my age, Stephanie knows I just remind myself that I'm the same age as Beyonce. But how many of us could say, that I have had a grandparent pass away from smoking related illness, and I can raise like 3 hands now, because it is, and as we find out, cancer, smoking can cause cancer in almost any organ in the body. So that is just so impactful, and I just bless you, and this is really makes it really tough on kids growing up, and so I'm so thankful we're able to do what we do now, so that we can help these young people understand, and so that maybe that they're not in the same situation that we had to be in, or that their kids won't be one day. Whew,
exactly.
Goodness.
That's my biggest inspiration. My grandma. Yeah.
Yes, wonderful. Oh, well, okay, so we're actually talking about relationships today, so that kind of just segues in. how do you think your decision to live tobacco and nicotine free can sometimes affect friendships, especially when we're talking about our young people? What advice can you give to someone who maybe has a lot of friends that are using a substance? Let's just say vaping, for example. What advice can you give them to help them stay strong in their decision not to vape or not to use that substance?
First of all, there's a myth out there that exists that if you use, you're cool. But I happen to tell you, and anybody that can walk in the room, I'm the coolest person that walks in the room every single time. Do you hear me? Period. And that's what. Hey now, come on now. And it's almost it's a belief system. Just like I say, I'm gonna live my best life. It's a belief that I'm not gonna allow anybody else to dictate to me what I'm doing over here. Okay, so if I walk in the room and I'm the coolest person in the room and I'm not vaping and I have this air about myself that, hey honey, listen Linda, this is what you need to do, this is what you don't need to do, and I'm not going to come and preach to you. I'm going to be the example of what is cool and what is the trend. And because people always use the statistic that everybody is using. Wrong. Everybody's not using, because this cool chick right here is not. So the advice for my friends would be, okay, if you think that you're succumbing to peer pressure or whatever, which I know that's a thing out there, listen, I'm okay. I'm not using. I am the coolest thing in the room. And I know you won't be like me. I mean, sometimes you got to psych folks out, though. Seriously, Laura, you do. You've got to dispel that myth that if you're not using, that that's you're a problem. You're not the problem. You are the solution, and you can lead by example by using your voice and speaking up and standing up and speaking out against that. Okay, and you got to do it with. I got to say this. Okay, you got to do that with love in your heart and not be judgmental as well. Okay, because even though I'm cool, I'm not getting ready to judge others for whatever it is they're doing. So that's my best advice, to be who you are and stand strong and be true and know that you're the coolest one walking in the room. Let them be like you, honey. Let them be like you.
I love that. I love that. So our students really are a positive influence, the ones that are part of Project Prevent or RAD or SWAG, or any student, any young person that's not using these products, that it is important that they be that influence on their relationship. So I love that you point that out. Okay, so let me ask you this. We're going to cover quitting later on in another segment. But what would you say is the best way to approach someone about quitting smoking, vaping, or dipping? Let's say, for example, if it were your mom or your dad or a grandparent, what would you say? How would you approach it?
Well, you got to approach it with the facts, okay? No, I'm not going to take that back, because I just told you last. Love is the first thing, because obviously you care about these people. Obviously, you want them to make a change, okay? You want them to quit. You want them to stop. You cannot do that by badgering them. You cannot do that by forcing information upon them. You got to do that with love and be gentle. This is my approach now, Laura. I don't know about what you do or anybody else out there, but I got to approach them with love and give them the facts and constantly, without ceasing, encourage them to make the right decisions for them, okay? It's not about me, okay, but for them. Because, honey, if I knew what I know now, if I had known at 12 years old, I would have done a lot more at 12 and 10. That's 2 years, 10, 9, 8, whatever age, because you're never too young to spread love and concern for your family members and your friends. I would have been like, look, Nanny, I love you, girl. And I want to see you around when I get married, when I have children. You got to do this for you so that you can then in turn do that for me.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is I just feel so much better every time I talk to you.
It's true, girl. And then they'll be crying all the time. Sorry.
I know. Okay, so you have tons of fans got one right here, but you have tons of fans, thousands of followers on social media. So how important is it to you to lead by example when it comes to tobacco?
Gosh, I mean, I don't even, you mentioned that I'm a performer. I do not perform in smoking venues. Okay. If there's a venue, oh yeah, I speak out against it. So I don't have a problem speaking up for me. Again, a lot of this is about, if we're talking about how you live and I'm living my best life, hey, I don't want to breathe in, bad air. Okay. Period. But I definitely don't want to breathe in toxins in your smoke and all that other stuff. So I stand up for me. So when Arkansas was going smoke free and the bars in Little Rock and all that other stuff where I performed the most, I chose, hey, if you were not a smoke free establishment, you weren't gonna see your girl. You're gonna have to make other provisions when I'm there. And even then, hey, that stuff lingers and it's stuck in the walls and stuff like that. So you just need to change over and figure out what you're gonna do if you want your girl. And I would solicit my peers to do the same thing. Hey, baby, some folks changed. Do you hear me? They did.
Fantastic.
And they listen. People listen.
Yeah.
It's just again that myth that everybody's doing it and this is going to impact my business. Wrong. Boo. Your business will increase because there's so many people out there that follow me, that choose to follow me because I avoid smoking environments. How about that?
I love that. Wonderful. Well, I want to get to, I mentioned your social media and I want to get to your handles and your website and all that. But first, you have your hands in several different projects. You do a lot of great things for the community. I've gotten to know you from a lot of different youth events that you've hosted that I've been able to help with and be a part of. You're part of the Arkansas Arts Council. I could go on and on. But as I mentioned, you're a prevention provider and of course a recording artist, but you've also started a nonprofit. So can you tell us a little bit about Olivia's Hope, Todd's Promise?
Sure thing. In fact, today starts our 22 days of purpose. So Olivia's Hope and Todd's Promise, by the very nature, is named after two young people. Olivia being my daughter, who was killed in a car accident November 3rd, a day before her 20th birthday. And then Todd Allen Davis, who died 4 years ago today, okay, at the recording of this, okay, on October 12th, 2016, of a heart arrhythmia that his mother was not aware of, and he wasn't in his mother's arms at 11:11. So she and I, on that day, Olivia's Hope and Todd's Promise, our children were free spirits. Livy played basketball, had full scholarship to a school in Illinois, but really didn't want to stay. She just wanted to come home to her mama. And then Todd was a traveling musician, broke his arm, ended up coming home a few months before he left this earth. But we started that in memory and in honor of our children, and we embodied their spirit of judging less. I mentioned that before, judging less and loving more, okay? Being that they're free spirits, they, as young people, made mistakes, just like we did when we were young. And so we want to make sure that we continue to share the prevention message. I mean, they didn't stay into mistakes. They just made mistakes. And so they're young people. And so what we do is we grab and we hold on to those who are 18 to 25, those young people, youth and young adults that are 18 to 25 that may not have gone to college or may not have chosen that route or decided that they were going to do something different like Olivia or travel or whatever, and become a resource for them, a place for them to hone in on their leadership skills and let people know that we still believe in them. So they do a lot of prevention activities. They're working on making sure people are recruited to vote this year. We give out scholarships. We do a lot of things, but the most important thing is to remember Olivia and Todd in the essence of judging less and loving more, and making sure that in that age group, they're not left. They're not left to the side or the curve, okay? Because they didn't choose to go a traditional route, all right? I could go on, but I'm probably over time. I'm over time.
I know. I just absolutely love everything that you stand for and all the things that you've been able to do. I think a lot of you, and I'm just really thankful that you'd be a part of this today. But before we go, we are going to show a clip from your music video. You have several scenes. The beginning I love because you're getting rid of this boyfriend, and in the end you're having this party at it looks like Burns Park. Am I right?
Yes, it was. It was Burns Park.
Okay.
Yes.
But my favorite is that piece in the middle in the high school. I just love it so much. Is that Parkview? Where are you? Who are these kids?
No, we were at Dunbar Middle School.
Oh, okay.
That was at Dunbar.
Fantastic. We definitely want to show that. But before we do, I want everyone to figure out how they can find you. What are your social handles, website, home address? No, I'm just kidding. But tell us where we can find you.
Home address. Well, first of all, I'm at the Family Service Agency. You can find us if you happen to be on Facebook. Okay, now you can find us on Facebook under the Region 9 Prevention Providers, because I'm all over that, as well as my name. You see my name in the corner right there, Janine Latrice Perez, and at GLP Sings on Instagram, Janine L. Perez on Twitter. All right, and I got a Snapchat, but baby, let me tell you something. The 11-year-old runs it, and we don't want to fool with that one.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Janine. I cannot tell you how much we appreciate having you here with us today, especially to kick off the Youth-Led Fact-Fed Annual Conference. And because we're virtual this year, it just means so much to me to have all of the wonderful partners like you. Of course, Hayes there in your office, and we're going to hear from so many others in the next little bit. But thank you so much again for being here. Miss Janine Latrice Perez, everyone.
Yes, love it when you say my whole name. Go live your best life. All right?
Yes. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
And I ain't gonna hold back, 'cause I'm living my best life. And I ain't got time to be fooling with you. They say closed mouths won't get fed, like a closed heart can't be read. Can't live the same way as before. Just cut the ties and shut the door. Held out way too long. Should've spoke up, should've been gone. Stop singing that same old song. No, 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 no. 'Cause you don't wanna. So I'm gonna say, 'cause I ain't got time to be fooling with you. 'Cause you don't wanna see me. So I'm gonna say, 'cause I ain't got no time to be fooling with you. 'Cause I'm living my best life. And I ain't gonna hold back. 'Cause I'm living my best life.
Okay, she is just so much fun, you guys. Janine Latrice Perez living her best life. We want to keep moving. Like I said, we have a lot to cover today, but we also want to move into another segment that was prepared by our co-workers here at Arkansas Children's, Charles Maxwell and Sarah Harlan. Charles and Sarah work on a couple of different projects, but one that they work on together is called Love Notes, and they really talk about the importance of healthy relationships. So we have a short video to share with you from Charles as well.
This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Charles. What we're talking about, of course, is R for the relationships. So starting off with a poem that I got right here that really kind of brings home a lot of what we're talking about when it comes to relationships. So people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. When you figure out which one it is, you will know what to do for each person. When someone is in your life for a reason, it's usually to meet a need you have expressed. They have come to assist you through a difficult time, to provide you with guidance and support, and to aid you physically, emotionally, and spiritually. They're there for a reason. You need them to be. Then without any wrongdoing on your part or at any inconvenient time, this person will say something or do something to bring the relationship to an end. What you must realize is this, that our need has been met, our desire fulfilled, this work is done, the prayer you sent has been answered, and now it's time to move on. Then there's some people that come into our lifetime for a season because your turn has come to share, grow, or learn. They bring with you an experience of peace to make you laugh. They may teach you something you've never done. They usually give you an unbelievable amount of joy. Believe it, it's real, but it's only for a season. And then lifetime relationships teach you lifetime lessons, things you must build upon in order to have a solid emotional foundation. Your job is to accept this lesson, love the person, and put into practice what you have learned to use in all your other relationships and areas of your life. It is said that love is blind, but friendship is clairvoyant. So when it comes to relationships, what we like talking about is thinking about meeting people. Now, what I have here is a cup of beads. As you can see right here, it's got red beads and green beads in it. And this cup represents all the people that you meet in your life, your family, your friends, and acquaintances. Think about in the past year, how many people you have met, okay? Now, the red beads in here, these are going to represent those people that are possibly poor life choices for us. Not that they're bad people, but they may be controlling, abusive, or abuse substances like drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, or vaping. Again, they don't mean they're bad people. They're just not a good match for you and your values. Maybe they just need to work on the issues first before they become someone that is a green. Now, the green beads are those people that would make a good friend to you. This does not mean they are perfect, because think, nobody is ever perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. We're not perfect. But it's someone you're compatible with. You enjoy being around this person, feel safe around them, and can be yourself. Now, if you had a choice, what would you pick? Would you pick a red bead or a green bead? I know I would like a green bead. Now, what I'm going to do here is, this is what a lot of times happens when we first introduce to somebody or we first meet somebody. We just blindly walk up to them and we just pick up a bead. Now, what color bead do you think I'm going to pick out? Is it going to be red or is it going to be a green? Okay. Of course, red bead. So the thing about this, when you're closing your eyes, this is representing think about just walking into your class for the first time. Brand new class, you don't know anybody in this class. So you're just going to randomly pick somebody, and that's going to be my friend right there. I'm just going to make friends with that person. I don't know anything about them. That's kind of like what I just did right there. I had my eyes closed. I walked into it blindly. Didn't really know anything about it. So what are some things that I can do to try to increase my chances of finding a green bead in all of this? Well, open my eyes first. Opening your eyes, this represents, going into a class and meeting these people, talking to them, finding out what their values are. You could also add more greens in here. Adding more greens is surrounding yourself with friends that help you find other friends. They're really good about, finding, helping people and talking to friends and having the same values there because you trust these people. Now, something else to know about relationships is that relationships always, always, always start with you. This means you should take your time to get to know yourself, get to know your strengths and weaknesses, your values and expectations, and understand how your past can influence who you are and who you grow up to be. The more you understand yourself, the more you can make decisions and take steps to put you on a path to a healthy relationship and a good future. One way to understand yourself is to look at your personality style. Personality style influences how you see things, taking information, and how you're energized, how you organize your life, and how you make decisions much, much more than everything else around us. So what I want you to do now is I want everybody to grab a pen, like that, that's a pen and some paper. So what I want you to do, if you're right-handed, I want you to write with your left hand. If you're left-handed, I want you to write with your right hand. So I want you to write with your non-dominant hand. I want you to write your full name. Go ahead and write your full name on just a blank sheet of paper. I'll try to read it. Okay, how did that make you feel, trying to write like that? Is it awkward? Is it strange? Does it look sloppy? I know mine does. I cannot even read that. Now, write your name with your dominant hand. What you normally write your hand with. So write your full name. How does that feel? It's comfortable. It's natural. Easy. This is what your personality style is like. It's how you show up best in life. It's natural. It works. It's what works for you. There are different styles, just like there are left and right-handed people. But no one style is better than the other. For example, one person may like lots of action and variety, be spontaneous, and like being with lots of people. While another person prefers more alone time, likes to make plans and stick to them, and likes to spend time with people one-on-one. These people have different personality styles. Neither way is right or wrong. It just works best and feels natural to them. So without knowing your style, though, you could assume that your way is the only way and the right way. You could be irritated by some people who see things or do things differently than you, but each style has its own strengths and weaknesses. Personality styles and even past experiences are often things we don't think about, but they definitely influence our behavior. They color our perceptions and expectations. When it comes to forming friendships, the more you become aware of these things and learn about yourself, the better you'll be at having successful friendships and relationships. You can use this knowledge to appreciate people with other styles, to get along better with others, and to communicate better with people. So today I want to challenge you to look inward. Check out your REACH guidebook and think about the questions related to relationships. How do your thoughts, opinions, and beliefs about tobacco and nicotine fit into your relationships? How can you keep your relationships while still being true to your values? Do you have family members or friends who use tobacco or nicotine products? If so, how can you be aware of their personality style and use that knowledge to help them stop? And if not, how can you use it to prevent them from starting? Thank you guys very much. I appreciate letting me talk to you this morning.
Oh, so okay, so a lot of good information from both Charles and Janine there. I wanted to mention, because Charles mentioned the R for relationships, and if you do not already have one of these Project Prevent REACH guidebooks, then this is available to you on our website, projectpreventar.org. There's a digital copy that you can flip through. But as you can see, we have a guidebook that covers each letter, and we just covered the R for relationships. So there's a lot of good information in here, and we'll be referring to this throughout the segments for the rest of the conference. So I really wanted to move on to the next piece that will show up in every part of the conference, which is the Be Vape Free virtual field trip. So this is put together by the Catch Global Foundation and CVS Health, and it's a series of videos that we'll also put a link to on our YouTube channel along with these segments for the conference. But we're just gonna look at the introduction for this part, and then we'll continue to look at each part throughout the conference. So this is the introduction, and we will get that pulled up for you now.
Welcome to Be Vape Free, a virtual field trip to educate, empower, and provide you with the real story on vaping. Unless you live under a rock, you probably see vaping all around you. Online, on TV, in movies, or even when you're just out and about. At school, in the parking lot, or maybe even in the bathroom? Gross!
They've got
vaping about liquid nicotine.
Scientists say it can change your brain.
You probably also hear scary stories about vaping in the news. Exploding batteries, nicotine addiction, and wait for it, the youth vaping epidemic. You know, the rapidly increasing number of kids vaping for the first time, and the millions more already hooked on it. Sounds scary, right? Well, it actually is. These numbers don't lie. Together, we'll learn what's behind these numbers.
These products are extremely addictive.
From teens with first-hand experiences.
The first time I was confronted with a vape, it was in middle school.
And along the way, separate vaping facts from fiction.
That's false. A study found that 99% of e-cigarettes that are sold contain nicotine.
Expose the truth about vaping ads.
We need to tell other kids that what they see online is not necessarily what they need to do as well, even if they see it from big influencers.
And go beyond just saying no.
If he doesn't want to be my friend because of that, then he's not really my friend.
With tips on how to avoid vaping to help you and your friends be vape free. On behalf of Discovery Education, Catch Global Foundation, and the CVS Health Foundation, welcome to Be Vape Free. Today, teens and experts from across the country will join us virtually to share their stories and help us learn about the danger of vaping. We'd also like to hear what you and your friends are seeing and hearing about in your school and neighborhood. Send us your questions, pictures, and stories to #BeVapeFree. While you think about that, let's go back in time to the beginning when e-cigarettes were born.
Actually, it wasn't that long ago. Electronic cigarettes started appearing in 2003 after being invented in China. Since then, their use has grown by leaps and bounds around the world. E-cigarettes are electronic devices that vaporize a flavored liquid. They come in multitudes of shapes and sizes. All have a power source, usually a lithium battery. E-liquid, which contains things like flavors and nicotine. An atomizer that heats up the liquid in a tank where the e-liquid goes. Heating this e-liquid creates a vapor, which consists of fine particles that contain varying amounts of toxic chemicals linked to cancer, respiratory disease, heart disease, and, most recently, a mysterious and deadly lung disease.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Figueroa. I'm 17 years old. I go to Port St. Lucie High School. What I love to do in my free time is I love to dance, and I've been dancing for 9 years. What I love mostly about dance is how I can express my feelings through dance. It gets me excited, and I get so happy and pumped when I'm on stage. And I feel that if I was to vape myself as a dancer, that I would be letting my team down. Now that I'm the oldest at the studio and little kids look up to me, I feel like I wouldn't be a good role model. And I felt that if I was to vape as a dancer, that I wouldn't be as good as a dancer as I am right now. Another passion of mine is helping my friends and other kids stay vape-free. What sparked my passion with this was when I joined a club called Students Working Against Tobacco, also known as SWAT. My first time joining SWAT was when I went on a Taco Tuesday night, and I had so much fun, but I also remembered about that night was how many kids and how many parents don't know the long-term effects of vaping. One thing that struck me during that meeting was when they showed a slide of how many kids were vaping throughout the year. And what was crazy to me was after I left that meeting, it changed my point of view of everything, including going to school and not realizing how much vaping has affected a lot of students in schools. People just think that it's water vapor, but I think it's important that we have to spread the effects and what it causes to your body. I was very mind blown about how many kids don't know what they're putting into their lungs, and I just had a passion to let other kids know that it's important to know what they're putting in their lungs.
Okay, so Elizabeth is talking about a group that she joined at her hometown in Florida, the SWAT team, which is very similar to what we have here in Arkansas with Project Prevent and the chapters that we mentioned. You were able to see a series of pictures from our members all over the state with the beginning of today's session, and we would love to talk to you more about how you can be involved with Project Prevent. So stay tuned. We have 3 more parts to cover for our Youth-Led FactFed annual conference. We have covered relationships today. The next session, part 2, will be e-cigarettes and vaping and how you can reach the truth. Part 3 will cover the A and the C, the action steps and the chapters, as well as some great information about social media that Stephanie will cover with you. And then our 4th part is the letter H, and you'll learn how you can help others. So thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to the rest of the conference with you, and we will see you for part 2, e-cigarettes and vaping, as you reach the truth. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.